So Mavs Clippers, Logan. This was a very highly anticipated series. They split games 1 and 2. Of course, LA takes game 1 quite easily without Kawhi on the floor. He has returned for games 2 and 3, although has pretty clearly been off. Dallas holds their home court down here. They take a 2-1 lead in this series. What did you take away from this game?
This was an awesome Mavericks defensive game, man. This is the lowest amount of points that Dallas has allowed in a single game all season long. They hold the LA Clippers to 90 points, man. I mean, it was a really impressive game from them on that side of the ball. I think it starts with Lively and Gafford just dominating the paint. There were so many massive blocks in this game. I believe Lively totals 2. Gafford comes away with 3 and 2 steals. PJ Washington has been awesome in this series, man, and just in a different role where they're asking him to clamp up and shoot shots, and PJ can do that. And he has played an awesome role on this team. Josh Green, when he gets plugged in, has given the Mavericks really great minutes. And Luka Doncic played a really great defensive game, man. I'm not ready to call Luka a really good defender, but when he wants to, man, Luka gives you those glimpses. I thought he did a really good job tonight, man, on the glass, on defense, active hands in passing lanes. Like, the Mavs really disrupted the Clippers in a way I didn't expect. And offensively, too, man. Everything came easy for Dallas in this game. Gafford and Lively getting downhill, dude. They dominated the paint. They had 28 points on 14 of 19 shooting in the first half. They end this game with 52 points in the paint to the Clippers, just 38. Dude, that high pick and roll was unstoppable. I was saying it from game 1. I was like, Dallas, it's an unstoppable action. When you can pull Zoo up out of the paint when they're running that drop or just get him to hedge a little bit, that backside is going to be open, and it was all game long. Luka was spamming alley-oops to Gafford and Lively. So much easy offense. And this is not a good Luka game. I was honestly a little disappointed with him offensively. He gets his counting numbers like he always does. 22 points, 10 boards, and 9 assists, but 7 of 25 from the field, 3 of 13 from behind the arc. I think if you just look at the counting numbers, you may go, oh, man, Luka dominated this one, found his teammates.
That's a bad Luka game in the counting stats. If Luka Doncic did that, his averages would go way down.
Yeah, and, I think Kyrie may get a little overshadowed. Kyrie carried them through in the second half, man, was just crazy. It was a really slow start, but in non-Luka minutes, he scores 8 straight in the third. He hits a pull-up 3, has some nice cuts to the bucket. He hits 2 big clutch fourth quarter pull-up 3s, just daggers. They needed Kyrie. They needed Kyrie, and he pulled his weight in the third and fourth quarter, man. The energy, the effort we got all game long from Dallas was super impressive. Kyrie's secondary shot creation. And the Clippers lay a dud, man. The Clippers are not going to go anywhere with this version of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I don't know. Do you want to get into that now, or do you want to start with Dallas, man? Because that's a pretty big key in this game, too.
We'll start with Dallas, but this was definitely a healthy mix of Dallas defending well and the Clippers offense just being porous. This was just a really ugly basketball game. I would say that this was one of the worst games of the playoffs so far, just in terms of the quality, just a bit of a rough watch. But the story is the level that Dallas has defended at over these last couple games after a really bad start in game 1 that was mostly on the offense, but they were defending poorly as well. And they have responded since then. And this was the huge difference in this team down the stretch. Yeah, they were turning out really good offense, but they were doing that all year because they have Luka and Kyrie. It was being able to consistently play as a top 8 defense, to be able to compete on the glass, to be so much bigger and longer and more athletic in the front court. And you see that in this game, man. Tim Hardaway Jr. out with that injury, so you don't have him on the floor in this one. Every guy who they played outside of Luka and Kyrie is a plus defender, and that is just such a dramatic difference from where they were at last year. And I just continue to be so impressed with how they have overhauled this team, because when they made the Kyrie trade, my feeling was they're too far away. They're too far away, and they're giving up some of their last remaining good assets. And what is this team going to do without a DFS? And in one offseason, they have dramatically changed those dynamics. I thought that they overdrafted Lively. They did not. Well, one offseason and a trade deadline, because the PJ and Gafford trades are both huge. And so yes, you need your two stars to carry a massive load as creators every single night. And you need these role players who are sometimes spotty offensively to knock down the open shots that are created for them. But defensively, man, the collection of quality players that you're getting is so impressive. And that's been the backbone. They're the number 5 defense in the playoffs so far. They're just the number 11 offense. They have been winning on the back of limiting this Clippers offense. Josh Green, just a ball of energy, man. So many high effort plays in this game, multiple offensive boards, but also drew multiple offensive fouls, had a big steal, got in those passing lanes, just got involved. And you mentioned the rim protection, Logan. Such a massive factor. They have the length of Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington when those guys are involved as helpers to bother you. But Lively and Gafford both, they're just massive in there, and they're both so good. The Clippers are only making 11 shots per game in the restricted area in this series. That is 15th out of 16 playoff teams, and they are shooting under 52% in the restricted area. Not only is that dead last, to put that in perspective, league average, like during the regular season, is about 67%. So when you are holding teams at the rim to shooting 52%, like that is an unbelievable testament to what Dallas has been doing on the interior. Also, though, does speak to the limitations of this Clippers team and their athletes. And this was just a really, really disappointing game from them. I don't know what was wrong with Paul George in this one. Kawhi has the excuse of very obviously being hurt. And we talked about that in game 2, how he just clearly wasn't able to assert himself to the normal level. And he wasn't hitting his jumpers. He was leaving a lot of them short. So you wonder if he's getting enough lift. But he only plays 25 minutes in this game. He has 9 points. He misses an extended stretch of the first half. And you could just see, like, there is no explosion there. Kawhi isn't exactly toasting people with quickness regularly, but I think his quickness can get a little bit underrated. There's multiple turnovers in this game where he just, like, loses the ball outright. And there's that one sequence where he catches the lob, and then he hangs on the rim for like 6 seconds. And he looks like a kid that climbed up on the monkey bars and got scared and didn't realize how high up they were. And they were like, oh, wow, I really don't want to fall. Like, that's not good, man. I thought that was telling just about his confidence in his knee right now. So without him close to his normal level, they're not winning the series. But then PG, he's in foul trouble early, so he doesn't play a ton in this first half. He made some nice interior passes to Zoo, who, by the way, had a really nice game. But he took a bunch of tough jumpers, and that's always the thing with PG is he's an incredible jump shooter, but there are stretches where he is giving you nothing but tough jumpers. And when he's shooting over these really long, rangy Dallas defenders, it's not a great offensive diet. And then the 2 times that he got to the rim in this game, he was immediately met by a whole lot of length from that Dallas interior defense. They have 3 incredible blocks on him going up for like these monster vintage PG dunk attempts. 2 of them have been Daniel Gafford, who is just doing an awesome job of protecting the rim. So props to the Mavs perimeter defense. Josh Green hounded him. I mean, that one possession where PG hit that off-balance circus shot, like Josh Green damn near caused him to pick up his dribble like twice on that play alone. And then obviously he lost his balance. Like he was giving him fits, just happened to somehow make that shot. And Derrick Jones Jr. did a really good job. And if those 2 play like that, you're not winning. It doesn't matter what you get from Harden. It doesn't matter what you get from Norman Powell and Zoo. When PG and Kawhi combine for 16 points, like you can just kiss that game goodbye. And I'm worried really about what version of Kawhi you're getting at all in this series, because he's not going to make some miraculous recovery. Like the guy's just not right.
I'm petrified, man. We had Kawhi as our number 4 scorer in the league. We had him up there.
Yeah, and like number 7 playoff performer, whatever, because he has consistently been ridiculous. 30 points per game on 63% true shooting in the playoffs since 2019. He always delivers, but he's not healthy right now.
And healthy Kawhi would be even higher on the list. I mean, it's not even a question. Like, It's just got to be demoralizing for Clippers fans, man. Are we ever going to be able to see this trio remotely healthy when they're in their prime? It's closing fast, man. It's getting scary, dude. Kawhi, 25 minutes in this game, 9-9-2, 4-7 from the field, 4 turnovers. You talk about those 2 turnovers. I've never seen that from Kawhi, man. Kawhi is a guy who is perpetually locked in. Not only did he not look like, game ready or up to game speed, he dribbles one off his foot in this game where I'm like, what? I've never seen that. There was another bad decision in the fourth quarter where he just rushed a pass. Like, normally Kawhi is just so under control, so methodical, so just ready. Like, and he has not looked like that at all in this series. 2 games played, 12, 8, and 2 on 46% from the field and 0 of 5 from behind the arc. You mentioned Paul George. Gives you 7, 5, and 5 on 3 of 11 from the field and 1 of 6 from deep on the series. 17 points, 4 boards, 4 assists on 40% shooting and 30% from behind the arc. Ironically, Carson, my best friend, James Harden, has been the best player in this series. Like, what? And not only that, like, Harden has legitimately floated this offense and kept him in some of these games where if Harden is not doing this, is not turning back the clock and knocking down these step-back threes, the Clippers aren't even in these games. These are drubbings from Dallas. In this one, he gives you 21, 2, and 5 and bangs 5 threes. On the series, Harden has given us 24 points, 3 boards, 7 assists on 48% from the field and 45% from deep. Harden has been legitimately great, but like you said, man, when you get Kawhi at this level, when you get Paul George at this level, everything else has to go right. And despite those guys having abysmal games, the Clippers would have had a chance to win this if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. Zoo 8, Norman Powell 8. But they lose the turnover battle 19-8. You got Norman Powell's dumb fouls veering into Josh Green intentionally. You got a moving screen. You got the uncharacteristic Kawhi turnovers that I mentioned. And then you get James Harden on that backdoor kick to PG where PG's just not ready for it. The Clippers killed themselves in this game. And Russ has his stinker. We know how volatile he can be. 0 of 7 from the field, scoreless from the field, 0 of 4 from deep as 1 point comes from that free throw line. I will ask, like, I mean, I don't think PJ Washington should have been ejected, man. Are you with me?
No, I am with you. That was on Russ, dude. And Russ came with that energy that was walking the line from the jump. Like, first quarter, he made some great defensive plays. He stripped Luka twice. He had an awesome help side block. But then there's like the closeout where he hits Luka long after the whistle is blown, and he's just doing one of those shots where obviously it's a dead play. A guy just wants to get a shot up. There was another chippy play in there somewhere, and then that was way over the line. And he like threw a punch. He threw a punch at PJ pretty much. Like, you had to get him out of the game. And refs generally, I feel like at that point, they're just like, let's get all this energy off the floor, especially when it's not that competitive of a game at that point. But I didn't think PJ did anything ejection worthy.
Well, that's what I hate, dude. That's what I hate about the NBA nowadays, or just sports in general. It's like we lose all social norms and it's just like common sense. It's like we can glean exactly what happened from this social interaction because we are also humans. Russell Westbrook is frustrated because he hasn't hit a shot from the field. And so he fouled Luka Doncic really hard. And when Luka was coming up to him, Westbrook was still a little pissed, so he pushed him. PJ Washington is telling you, hey, man, that's our leader. You're not going to touch him. If you touch my guy, I'm going to touch you. And all PJ did, a little bit. All PJ did was give him a little love tap. It was, hey, man, don't touch my boy. And it's like,
friendly, good-natured.
Like, he's just telling him, don't do that again or I'm going to mess you up. It's going to be your head. And I don't get why the refs can't go, PJ sticking up for his boy. Like, Russell Westbrook.
I wonder if he said something vile, though, because Russ reacted strongly.
I don't
know.
I think Russ was a little heated. And if that was the case, because that's what Reddick said on the broadcast too, was maybe PJ said something that, got him a little riled up. I didn't think PJ should have been ejected, and I wondered if it was going to come back to bite him because PJ is vital to the Dallas's recipe for winning. But I just thought that was a bad call, man. I thought Russ should have been chucked, but I didn't think PJ deserved to get bounced in that game.
I agree. Russ, you mentioned 2 for 16 over his last 2. He's made some really nice defensive plays. He's brought effort and energy and pace, but when he just can't make a shot, that's rough. And it was awful shooting from the Clippers. Outside of Harden, they were 5 of 21 from deep. Props to Harden for, again, just nailing his pull-up threes. I mean, he has been dialed in there in this series, but as you mentioned, they didn't take good care of the ball. So just a really bad performance from them offensively. Props to Zoo, though, because he was finishing beautifully in the dunker spot and as a cutter. And Norman Powell, you mentioned, had a couple dumb plays in there, but also just brought an infusion of offense that this team desperately needed. But it was also not a good game for the Mavs offense, and particularly not a good game for Luka Doncic, Logan. And I think that you even undersold how bad of a game it was by Luka standards, because this is Luka Doncic. He's one of the greatest offensive players ever. He's a top 2 offensive player in the game today. And he still mostly picked LA apart with his passing. You mentioned hit a beautiful lob to Lively over drop, hit him very nicely off a blitz to create just a wide open layup, through 3 different lobs in transition throughout this game. But 7 of 25 with 5 turnovers is bad. And by the way, Kyrie got hot, but he had 2 points at the half. He's had a weird series too, where he's quiet, and then he explodes. I expect him to be more consistent going forward too. Like, he hasn't been at his best in this matchup either, and they still won comfortably. So that's a good sign for the Mavs. But in the first quarter, he gets stripped by Russ a couple times, as I mentioned. But really, my problem with Luka throughout this series has been his shot selection, and it has been his overwhelming reliance on his jump shot and tough jumpers. Like, he takes several deep threes in this game that are just not good looks. And Luka is improved as a jump shooter. He was the best he's ever been from deep by a good bit this season. He is one of the top 2 step back shooters that we've ever seen. And the other one was on the floor just in terms of insane volume while maintaining good efficiency. But he's got to hit that paint more. He has to drive more, because he is such a great decision maker in the paint at 6'8", being able to see everything. Like, you see the skip passes that he can make. You see a phenomenal midair adjustment to kick out to, I believe it was Maxi Kleba in the corner. Like, that's what he does. He dissects you out of drop. He'll throw those lobs over the top, but he has to get into that painted area. He shoots 55% on floaters. Like, everything in there is a huge positive. And Logan, it is ridiculous how little he is getting in there. He drove on 1 zoo switch in this game, and he scored easily. Every other time, there were 4 other zoo switches. He stepped back. He had one of those blocked. I often think that all Luka needs to guarantee he's going to make a step back is to see Ivica Zubac's in front of him, because he always shoots the step back against him. Usually he makes a lot of them, but they just weren't falling in this one, and they were so predictable. There's another time where he tries to get Zoo with a pump fake and just doesn't bite, and then he just throws the ball away. Like, bring him out, man. Bring him out high, 28 feet away, and then you can get a step on that dude. 40 of his 77 shots in this series have been threes, and he's only making 30% of them. He has attempted 5 shots in the restricted area this series, Logan. And to put that into perspective, Luka's rim attempt rate has gone down, and it's been at a career low this season. But when you compare that to 2020 and 2021, when he played the Clippers, he was taking over 5 restricted area shots per game, 5.2 per game across those 2 series. That just gives him such a high floor as an offensive player. It's better for his scoring efficiency and volume. It's better for his playmaking to be consistently hitting that paint. And he's just been concerningly underwhelming through 3 games. Because, yeah, of course the counting stats are going to look good. It's Luka. He was not good in game 1 on either side of the ball. He was better in game 2. But in this one, the shot making was just really, really rough. And the shot selection was really rough. And I'm a little concerned about that knee now, because he has been playing like this. Like, we had the same complaint through the first 2 games, but he tweaked that knee on the rush strip in the first quarter. And I don't know, it felt maybe even a little bit more dramatic to me in this game, but also he just wasn't making those shots. Regardless, they need way better Luka. If you don't have way better Luka, you're not going to make the deep run that we're optimistic this Dallas team can, because that defensive foundation is awesome and Kyrie can be really good, but you don't have enough offensive skill around those guys to have anything other than great Luka. And great Luka has been considered automatic, inevitable, because that's what he's done this year. That's what he's done in the playoffs previously, but they haven't gotten that guy yet, and that's a little concerning.
Well, and it's frustrating too, because you see glimpses of Luka do it during the game. There's one time where he drives the lane, gets 2 defenders, Zoo comes with him, dumps it off to Derek Lively for an easy dunk. There's another possession in this game where he gets Norman Powell on him out of a pick and roll and just takes him to the left elbow. The left low block. They're at the right elbow when he gets the screen. And Luka's so strong, he pushes him with his left forearm to the left elbow, easy floater. It's like Luka has a competitive advantage against most of the guys that are going to be on the floor for the Clippers. If it's Zoo, he's got a speed advantage. If it's Norman Powell, he's got a strength advantage. Like, I don't think he's exploited the Clippers enough in those areas, and I think he is too reliant on it, and it will come back to bite them. If you get an average Paul George and an average Kawhi Leonard game in this one, I think the Clips win. Like, if they don't shoot themselves in the foot and commit 11 more turnovers than Dallas, that's 11 possessions more that they just throw away. This is an 11-point game. Like, I just think that this was one that the Clippers could have won, man. I mean, and again, Paul George and Kawhi not up to standard. Luka can't play like this. This is Luka. I mean, at arguably some of his worst. I do think that he has to be. He's got to be way better. I mean, that's just borderline. A lot of things went right in favor for Dallas in this game, and they don't luck out. There's a lot of energy and effort, and Dallas made the plays, but
they totally outplayed LA. Totally
exactly. Yeah, Luka just has to be better, man.
He does, because that's the vision. The team defense can be really good, but you need insane star shot creation. You need Luka to be the guy that we always just check off. That's who Luka Doncic is. That's who he's going to be. And so that's just something to monitor going forward. I'm not freaking out about it, but it's like one game. Okay, Luka, that's a little bit frustrating. Let's take some better shots. Let's drive more. 2 games. Okay, but you were a little bit better in this one offensively as a shot maker. Defensively, he was a lot better in game 2. 3 games, when you go 7 of 25 and you still aren't changing up your tendencies, that's where it's like, all right, is something going on here, especially when you see a knee get tweaked. But props to the Mavs. Good win for them to take an advantage in this series.